Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another Historical Humans Heritage. And today we are talking about the oldest European settlement on the Pacific Ocean in the Americas. And what we're actually talking about is the archaeological site of Panama Viejo in the historic district of Panama. So, kind of a cool little site here that's on the UNESCO World Heritage Site since 1997.
Yes. So the reason Panama Viejo and the historic district are the same site is because Panama Viejo is the town which was founded in 1519 by none other than the famous conquistadors, in particular, a man named Pedrararis Davila. Um, and again 1519. However, in the mid 17th century it was abandoned and rebuilt by what is now known as the historic district. And both the historic district and Panama Viejo, the original, share the same street plan, meaning that when the new town came in and knocked down the buildings to build itself up into what become the historic district, it did so plot by plot, replacing old homes with new, old businesses with new. It did not rework how the city was laid out at all, which is kind of a rare thing when you think about, resettlements.
Yeah,
Usually they teach how things are laid out.
it's kind of interesting, and it also sorry, I'm scrolling through the article on my end here, but the interesting thing for me about this is it's a mixture of both historic in terms of being the first and furthest west site that the Europeans had reached, and they reached there as early as 1519. Um, well, they settled there in 1519. They actually discovered it in 1513, so not very long after Columbus discovered it, like 20 years later. But the fact that it has been settled and it's been lived on quite regularly since the 16th century. Because in 1673, the city was moved closer to the islands that were used as the port and kind of built out from there. So, good strategic location, great place for a port, and then obviously you see it continue to build and expand, and that's why they're all connected in that one area.
Yeah, and if you even look at just the aerial shot of the city, a lot of the architecture you can kind of see a little bit. It's a little bit mixed in there in terms of what the buildings and even just the roofs themselves look like. And that's because the city is both French, Spanish, and early American in its architectural style. So it's a unique blend in of itself of just different cultures attempting to coexist, I believe is the proper term for what's happening here,
I didn't know
at
that
least
was
in terms of
possible.
architecture. Uh, Coexist is used very loosely with the history of the Spanish Empire on the Spanish Main, but yes, like the different architectural styles have certainly blended in together. You can see with some of the different just roofing patterns in the picture. It's very eclectic.
And this town has had quite the history. Besides being founded by Spanish conquistadors, the city was ravaged by a pirate attack in 1671. Um, it was also afflicted by a slave rebellion, which, we always stand for slave rebellions. Fire, an earthquake was even um, also damaged it. And it's kind of interesting just to see that. And then, like I said, the city was destroyed in 1671, and then in 1673, the city was moved a little
Yep.
bit closer, and they just, and this is where the historic district comes in.
Yeah, yeah. The historic district comes in, which is in the 17th century. The city was abandoned and then refounded along the exact same street plan of the original city. And the historic district is what is standing today, is what is seen today, not the original colony from 1519. Because it's it's a place people live. It's not static for much of its history. Um, one of the very interesting things about this site from a preservation aspect is this site has been on UNESCO since 97, with a revision, I believe, in 2003 to expand the boundaries of what is and is not protected.
Correct.
Um, this has to be one of the most legally guarded sites we have covered on this channel, on account of the fact that as far back as 1976, there were national laws protecting the historic district. Um, there are additional heritage laws from 82, um, '03, and '07 by the Panama government, expanding on the nature of protection, preservation, and the criminal punishment for any damage you incur to the site.
Well, and I think an important thing to highlight with that specifically too is there's an extreme amount of preservation laws in place, and because of that, the integrity and authenticity of the site is one of the best because effectively it is preserved in place that the city layout was retained. It retained its originals.
Yeah,
Have been kept in place.
dimensions.
There were no reconstructions of the archaeological remains. And also, the urban layout of the historic district is exactly the same as it has always been. The exact same public spaces, the same materials. Like, this place is in pristine condition for what it is.
Yep. And it's not just laws and legislation protecting it. There are two executive decrees from 97 and '04 also adding further protections to the site. Like, this is a paper fortress that almost never gets built because, there's never this much on board with protecting uh, a single heritage center, or even heritage centers in general usually just don't get this much attention from the government. And it's just like the people of Panama really want what's here to be here,
And then
more or less forever.
even further down, it talks about that they established a new interinstitutional public organization that manages the management of the site. And they were talking about how anything in the nearby area, business or tourism or anything, has to go through the proper regulatory permitting process, but then also needs approval from the historic board. And it just adds another, like you said, level of bureaucratic.
The paper fortress.
Yeah, the paper fortress. That's what it
And
was.
yeah, it's a paper fortress, and it's just like this is an iron trap of a paper fortress if there ever was one. And just the kind of just outpouring of love towards a historic site by a people, by a government. That's just something we don't see in the industry, especially as citizens of the United States. We really don't see it because for some reason in our country, preserving the past is a political opinion.
And on that tragic
Bombshell.
bombshell, thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to leave a like down below. If there's a topic you would like to see, please leave a comment down below. And don't forget to hit the subscription buttons and the little notification bell right next to it so you don't miss out on any future videos.
And please be sure to comment "Well done, Panama" to show us you made it to the end of the video. So well done, Panama.
Panama.
Well done, Panama.
And yeah, we'll see you guys in the next episode with yet another heritage special. Dun dun dun.
Not